I'm with Decentraland and can get in pretty easily. If you go to the directions page at the conference center site and scroll down to this area here that lists various venues and go to the meeting center north room. And if you want to use Discord voice instead of Zoom voice, you don't need to use both. But if you want to use Discord voice, then you would use this voice channel in Discord in this Discord server, which is the conference center Discord. If you're already on Zoom and that voice is working for you, then that's good. If you want to go to the meeting.
Carl, right now you enabled, right now you enabled both, so we can hear two of you.
I didn't make a change. So somebody's listening on two channels. You don't need to listen on both. You can either listen on Zoom or you can listen on Discord. If you listen on both, you're going to get confused. So far, I don't see anybody else joining me in Discord.
Okay, all good now? Can you hear us, Carl? Hello, hello.
Now, somebody muted me in Zoom, and now I'm unmuted.
Yeah, there you go.
So I just simply departed from the Discord voice. So we'll just use Zoom voice today, and hopefully that won't confuse too many people who try to join by Discord. If they do, you can hear me, okay?
Yes.
Okay. So how many people do we have present in Zoom?
Let me count. I think we have about
9?
10 people.
10, okay. Shall I start?
Yes, please.
I could maybe just be better off like this. Or trying to see if people are mostly not in the room, then you're going to see what I have presented. I'll use the teleprompter maybe mostly. Are you going to admit the new people?
Yeah, they are automatically admitted, yes.
Somebody's sitting here asking me to be admitted.
No, no, don't worry about it. I will do it.
Okay. All right. All right, so I'll start. So welcome everyone. I am projecting from Decentraland, from the meeting center at the conference center district in Decentraland. And what I thought I would do today would be to give an introduction, a brief introduction to Decentraland. I see somebody has arrived. Welcome. A guest here has arrived. I wonder if this guest is able to hear audio. Last night I introduced a guest and told them to use the meeting center channel audio, but they're not in there anyway. So if somebody shows up there, I might put the voice on in there for a moment and then tell them to use Zoom audio. You might have to help them get in, Elena. All right, so Decentraland is a virtual world that you can use for building scenes or experiences or stores or training centers, or you know, you can use your imagination. What I thought I would do today would be to give an introduction to Decentraland, the basics of how it works, and then talk a little bit about some use cases that might be possible that you can use in your projects, and take questions if there are some questions. So I'm going to proceed here with a next slide. Maybe, I wonder if it'd be better if I was out here and you're seeing the slides this way. No, that's not better. Okay, sorry for the, I'll just use the teleprompter here. There. This is just a little bit about me and why I'm qualified to even talk about this. I've been a tech entrepreneur for a few decades, and I've tended in my career to focus on the integration of technology with music and the arts. But today I'm a director of IT at a marine transportation company is my day job. I've been active in virtual worlds, especially Second Life, since 2009. I wrote a book on how to build scenes in Sansar, which is another virtual world, and was a member of the faculty of the University of California way back, but also do education here in Decentraland. I was brought on as a community advisor to Decentraland in 2017, and I founded the conference center. Recently, I was asked to be the chancellor of the Decentraland University, and I continue to advise district leaders in Decentraland. So what is Decentraland? It's a virtual world. It's not yet a virtual reality because it doesn't yet support head-mounted displays like the Oculus Rift, but it will. And but currently it runs in a browser, Chrome or Brave or Firefox. So there's no installation of a client needed. You just click on a link and you arrive in the destination. Decentraland has around 92,000 land parcels. A parcel is 16 meters by 16 meters. And about 9,000 people own land in Decentraland. Decentraland also has some themed districts, the conference center being an example of one of them. Here's a map of Decentraland. It's currently a 3 kilometer by 3 kilometer square city. The purple zones are the themed districts. The white squares are public plazas. The green is privately owned land as of when this picture was taken, which was probably a year and a half ago. And it's pretty much all the land is owned now. And you can see there's also networks of roads. And it's a large piece of land, bigger than San Francisco, for example. Oh, interesting. If you want to be the person screen sharing, then maybe you could actually go up and look at the, Elena, have you decided to screen share? Or is somebody else screen sharing? It's not me.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
So maybe you ought to walk up to the front of the stage so you get the screen full screen, and we'll just use your view of it.
Yeah, there we go. Is that good?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Awesome.
All
so
right.
Here, people, yeah, you see, I just arrived to Decentraland. So this is the meeting room. So this is where we can meet actually and socialize. There you go. And I can see the screen and I can hear the speaker.
All right. And so I can change my view a little bit. You're not seeing my view now, right?
No, I don't see your view.
Okay.
I just see this. Yeah.
All right. That's good. There'd be less motion sickness as I change slides.
There you go.
All right. So a little about the relationship of Decentraland and the blockchain. So land parcels that I spoke about earlier, they are represented by non-fungible tokens, ERC20 style NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain. And at times it has been the largest sales volume of an NFT on the blockchain. A fair amount of the time recently that's been true. I guess that means we're currently outselling CryptoKitties. But many people are holding their land and building on it and improving on it for future value, despite the fact of that sales volume. So there's some people are flipping land, other people are building on it, like at the conference center. The Decentraland economy runs on an ERC20 Ethereum token, blockchain token that is called Mana. It's the currency of economics in the Decentraland world. It's used for buying land. It's used for buying clothing and wearables. It's used for admission to various sites, etc. it's used in contests, and it is often the way that contests are paid. The content servers that hold the 3D models and the texture images and the scripts are on a network of peer-to-peer content servers. Instead of most virtual worlds run on a corporate server farm, which means those worlds are dependent on those businesses. Decentraland is increasingly becoming independent of the original founding project by design. They are transferring the assets and the governance to a DAO. And because the content servers are peer-to-peer, it's largely immune to censorship. So it's a fairly new paradigm for a virtual world.
Carl, can you please maybe also give a little excursus for our people who are not familiar with blockchain and NFTs, because some people don't even know what NFTs are?
Oh, certainly. So the blockchain can probably be best thought of as a distributed database running in parallel on many, many computers. I mean, like millions of computers around the world. They all have they have a mechanism for consensus on what has happened. So any one of those computers represents the entirety of the history of what's gone on in that blockchain. And when you submit a transaction or an event or some information to the blockchain, one of those computers will succeed at being the one to quote unquote mine that transaction, which means they're the ones that officially inserted into the blockchain, but then it gets propagated throughout that network. So it's a distributed ledger or database, and there are certain applications that that's really good for, like ownership or financial transactions. It's also usable to identify yourself because the accounts on the blockchain that you have are secure and uniquely yours, and you control their security and identity. So in Decentraland, for example, the blockchain is used to identify your avatar and hold your assets, like your land and your clothing, things like that. Elena, do you have any other questions you want to ask to kind of guide the?
Maybe I have to also a little bit clarify the non-fungible tokens and why they're so valuable in this piece of land. So just imagine, even though this is a digitized kind of square meters of the land, they are unique, like each square meter is unique and resellable, right? So it cannot be replicated. It's kind of like a collectible.
Yes.
Right, so the ones that you buy and you own it forever, because this is eternally located on a blockchain, right? So your like land ownership is recorded, right? So
yes.
this is something, and that's why they're very valuable, because you can resell them, and the sales price always go up in the price while the time goes on, and they become more and more valuable, right? So, and there's more and more companies coming to this platform, building their lands, building their buildings in this virtual reality, which they can, use for different events, for different advertisement, for arts exhibitions, so on and so forth. So this is just the value of the platform.
Yep. So yeah, an ERC20 token is fungible in the sense that, if you lent me $1 and then I hand you a dollar bill back, you don't mind that it's a different dollar bill than the one you handed me. But with a non-fungible token, that means they're not exchangeable. They're different, they're unique. You might have non-fungible token representing a work of art that you own, and nobody else owns that. Somebody else will own it if you sell it to them or give it to them. So ERC721 non-fungible tokens represent unique assets that somebody owns. And some of you are familiar with a distributed autonomous organization, a DAO, because one of the partners in this project is all about DAO. The Decentraland's vision was always to transfer their assets and the governance to a DAO as after it got set up, and they're in the process of doing that now. So that means that the holders of mana and land vote on policy and vote on changes to the smart contracts that govern how the system works, etc. I think I'll go on to the next slide unless there's any questions. So Decentraland has a market.
So I should mention that all our participants are muted right now because we muted them in order not to disturb. So if you guys have any questions, please use the chat. There's a chat button and just right in the middle of your screen, not in the middle, but in the bottom part of it. And we also take all the questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I'm not watching the chat. So Elena, if there's a question you see, you can go ahead and pass it to me.
Yes.
All right. So there's outside of the world, not in the virtual reality, there's a website, decentraland.org, that has, it's where you sign up, it's where you create an avatar. And it's also where you can buy and sell land and clothing and other collectibles that work in Decentraland. So there's the URL for it. And the NFTs that represent land and collectibles in Decentraland are also available through the OpenSea NFT Market. So OpenSea it's not related to Decentraland, but it's a place where you can buy and sell NFTs of many sorts, many types of collectibles, and all the Decentraland NFTs are also marketable there. Here's a screenshot from the Decentraland market showing you what you see when you go in and log in with your MetaMask wallet, your Ethereum account, to see, what your assets are and what's for sale and what you might want to buy. It's where you can get additional mana, etc. So those are little parcel maps, little regional maps that show some parcels that are for sale in orange and where they are in the world. But you can also here look at your wearables and your name when you buy a name. In Decentraland, you are a guest until you obtain a permanent name, which is also an NFT. And so, the name tag over my head as an avatar is Carl Fravel. And that's because I spent 100 mana to get a name. Mana is running around 3 to 4 cents right now. So we're talking about 100 mana for buying a name is around $3 or $4. They put a little price on it so that somebody wouldn't just set up a robot to buy all the interesting names and hold them hostage.
I should mention that we have support from Decentraland, and in the sense that you guys can create your avatars and pay your mana, and mana will be reimbursed to you back. So this is done just for our event. So please use this chance to get onto the platform. Yeah, for kind of for free. So we're going to pay for that.
Very generous of them. Thank you, Decentraland. This is what it looks like to begin building an avatar. That's my avatar on the right. And you can pick your gender, your skin color, what kind of hair, eyes, shape of eyes, color of eyes, and clothing. And then if you have collected some special garments or accessories as NFTs, they're also available to add to your avatar here. And when you're done, you can hit the done button. And you can always go back into modify your avatar, or change the clothing, whatever, by clicking on the little avatar circle up in the upper right of the screen. Oh, by the way, they have now released the specs for making clothing. So if somebody is a clothing designer or wants to make, an event T-shirt and then sell it as an NFT, so there's a marketability of creating clothing for avatars now. You can imagine a clothing store you might set up in Decentraland. Avatars can dance. So far, the dance animation is pretty simple, but this is a screenshot from a venue in the conference center where the DJ on the left, DJ Rosa Alexiev, is playing music from a DJ console there, and people are out there dancing. And we hold those events on Saturdays and Sundays in Decentraland every week. So animations are another part of the reality. Both animars and avatars can be animated, but also I like that word, animars. I'll have to do something with that. And then other mesh, other things can be animated too. I mentioned that there were districts. There are around 30 themed districts. I'll let you just take a peek across them here a little bit. I'm involved in a few of them. The conference center, the university, the museum, the forest, Etheria. The first one on the list is the largest of the districts. It has over 10,000 parcels in it. These parcels in the districts were contributed by people who wanted to support the vision of the district. So the districts published their manifestos or their plans, their vision about 2 years ago. And people chose to contribute some land to those visions. So that's how the conference center came to be. And that's how all these came to be. And there's quite a variety of what they're for. So Festival Land is like for music festivals. There's a place dedicated to architecture, some Asian cultural districts, etc. Worth exploring, and they're in development. And here's just some pictures representative of a few of the districts. Etheria is a cyberpunk theme, although I think it's evolving towards kind of post-cyberpunk, so maybe more beautiful than a gritty. The reflective tiling on the bottom right was an early version of the ground cover in that district. Colorful square on the left is actually an aerial view of the map, and there are some privately allocated lands that some contributors chose to have, and then the other land in there is community district land. There's a virtual reality shopping district with a couple of malls and stores in them, and a nightclub in the district. And there's spaces for rent in there for stores or offices. The university had its first inaugural class last summer, a class on building virtual reality scenes in Decentraland. And we had a number of people, quite a few people do portions of the course, and the course is available online still for free. If you go to the university Discord server, which you can get to through the Decentraland server, then you can get the link to that course. And if you complete the course, you get a certificate of completion. And we had a number of people do that. So training and education is one of the use cases. The conference center, which you're in, has a number of venues, some outdoor amphitheaters, a very large and beautiful grand theater, lots of office and store spaces, and a fair amount of technology for doing presentations and performances and things like that. So how do you build stuff in Decentraland? The easiest way, especially if you're a little bit of a newcomer to it, is to use the Decentraland Builder tool, which is available at that URL. And you can use it to build a 3D scene. And the builder has a palette of low poly models that are free, that Decentraland provided in the tool. It's a very large collection. You can build lots of different kinds of things. And then you can deploy, from there, you can deploy scenes directly onto land. Or if you want to do further work using their software development kit, which allows you to customize the scenes and add more dynamic behavior, then you can export them from the builder to a folder structure that is compliant with the SDK. Here's a screenshot of the builder. Early on, I built a maze out of trees in a scene, and I believe that's deployed to the world somewhere right now. But anyway, this gives you an idea of one view. On the right, you see the palette of objects that you can drop into the scene and rotate in size and position. The software development kit that they've provided allows you to extend the behavior of the scene and bring in media from outside the builder's content. New custom objects that you build, maybe in Blender or something like that, and then hook it all together, add rich behavior, etc. The coding is done in the TypeScript language, which is an extension of JavaScript. The main difference being that you can define the type of variables and they stick. So it's a type-safe language. It's a very nice programming language. The software development kit presents the world to the TypeScript language as an entity component system, which means you define an entity like a point in space, then you add a component to it like the mesh for a box, and then you maybe add other components to it like color or interaction with other things, buttons, touchability, transparency, things like that. And then you submit that entity and component collection into the system and it renders it. So that's a pretty common model that's used in game development or in almost any development tool that uses a component sort of building model. So it's a very nice model. Scenes can call out to external servers to get data or to write data. The fact that everybody that's watching this slideshow in World sees the slides advance is because as the operator, when I advance the slide, I'm sending a message to a synchronization server that then all the other visitors here are watching to see that a slide has changed. That's just an example. You can also, from a scene, do blockchain operations like buying something or selling something or transferring money or recording something on the blockchain. The SDK supports animation of objects, sounds, streaming media, etc. There's really good documentation provided by Decentraland. I'd say way above average. It's on their on decentraland.org website, the docs link. And their docs provide many sample scenes. So if you kind of would like to get to dabble and begin to learn the SDK, you can grab some of the sample scenes and see how they work. And then as I said, there's a training course available through the Decentraland University. Any questions about the builder or the SDK?
Oh,
and Elaine,
we have one question. Does Decentraland run on a centralized server? Very good question.
Yes, very good question. The answer is really no. First of all, like pretty much all games and virtual realities, the actual rendering of turning the 3D models and the texture stuff into a 3D experience, like what you're seeing in World here, is done locally on your computer. For that kind of computation to be done for everybody with their own unique points of view, because everybody's rendering is going to have to look different because where they're standing. If trying to do that centrally would be just totally unscalable. So pretty much no game or virtual reality does that. But what can be common in a centralized server is the content storage. So for example, Linden Labs, probably the most mature virtual world company, Second Life company, they have a server farm of servers that are holding all the content. And the future of Second Life depends on the future of Linden Lab as a company. The Decentraland is a different model. All the content is held on a collection, a network of peer-to-peer servers. And most of those servers are not run by the company. They're run by individuals who've been approved by the DAO to be one of the server providers. So I think there's something like a dozen content servers now running peer-to-peer. So there's very little in the way of common centralized technology anymore. There's peer-to-peer real-time connection for things like one person seeing where the other avatars in the room are and what they're doing. So those kind of communications are also peer-to-peer. So I would say probably within another year, there'd be almost no centralized technology for Decentraland. Did that answer the question?
Yes, I think at this point I can unmute. So guys, I will allow you to unmute yourself at this point, and feel free to unmute your mic, and let me just figure out how to do it, and ask the questions. All right.
I'll pause for a moment in case anybody else.
You can also raise your hand, like raise your hand in terms of in a Zoom, there is this functionality to raise your hand while I'm trying to figure out how to make you to allow to be on mute. All right. Seems like I can't for some reason. Anyways, you guys, can you type in the chat if you would like to ask the question, and then I can unmute your microphone. If you don't have any questions, so yes, please feel free. So we posted in our Discord, we posted all the links on how to get into the Decentraland. We also posted tutorial on cryptochicks.ca /SOS Hack Live. There is a tutorial on how to get started on Decentraland, so please watch that. It's like about 5-minute video, which tells you exactly how to get there and how to get into this room, and also how to explore. We're going to be holding our opening ceremony in Decentraland. Panels and speeches are there, so please feel free to explore. We have another questions. So other than tokens, how does it differ from Minecraft?
Well, one of the differences, a lot of complex behavioral things you can do in scripting. Also, the world isn't all voxels. It's, I mean, as you can see, you have curved surfaces, and it's a richer visual environment. But I would say that probably the main difference is that it is fundamentally a social experience in a city, in a world where there's lots of different kinds of things going on. And those things are durable. You go in and you find people, and you go to a dance, and you go to a class, and go to a store. And so I'd say it's significantly different. Probably the place where it's the closest is in the Builder tool, which has a model that's vaguely familiar. You can grab something and drop it into the scene. But then what you end up with is something that is rich in many other dimensions. Not to disparage Minecraft, which is a fantastic system.
So now another question, why would you recommend SOS Hacker to join the Decentraland?
I was going to talk a little bit about some of the use cases at the end. Can I hold those questions to the end, and we can discuss that in the context of ways that you can use it, which is coming up soon. Is that okay, Elena?
Yes, it's okay with me.
All right, so we'll definitely spend some time on that. In fact, here we are. That was very soon.
There you go.
Yes, perfect. There are so many different ways you could use Decentraland. And last night I just put together a list of things that came off the top of my head. One of the ways you can use it is if you have something you're trying to build, and maybe it's even a physical real world thing, but you don't know quite whether you have it right, and you want people to look at it and test it and give you feedback on it. You could build a prototype in a virtual reality. I mean, imagine, let's say you were, this is not necessarily what you would do, but let's say you were trying to build a building in a space. Architecturally, you're not going to go build a building and then say, oh, that's not quite right, and tear it down and build it differently. That's easy to do in a virtual reality, very low cost. So not just buildings, but engines or systems, or you can demonstrate a capability for people to look at it without having them get a plane and fly to your office or to your meeting place. So you can present it in a way that's three-dimensional. They can walk around it and look at it. So that's one way you could use it. Another is that you can either build or make use of the existing educational and training facilities that are in Decentraland, which support, interactive learning. People can touch things and have an effect on those things. Walk around and look at them. So it's a three-dimensional immersive experience for learning. Obviously, presentations and talks like this. If I had chosen, I could have put a three-dimensional slide, basically something happening on stage at a certain point in the presentation to demonstrate something. There are lots of places, Decentraland Conference Center and elsewhere, where there are meeting rooms and workspaces and offices and store spaces, et cetera, if you wanted to make use of the space in Decentraland to do one of those kinds of things. I have just connected with an artist from Spain who does interactive performance art installations, and she's quite excited to build something. We're going to let her use some of the land in the conference center for one of her pieces. And people from all over the world can visit it and interact with it 24/7. And it, it's outdoors, but it doesn't get rained on. Well, unless you design it to get rained on. Obviously, you can have stores where you could sell NFTs, be they works of art or clothing or furniture. And then, there's lots of support for interactive experiences like games, which can be educational, they can be entertainment, they can be commercial. We have a grand theater here where theatrical productions or concerts could be given. And there's a district called Festivaland that's designed for doing big music festivals. So there are many ways you could imagine using Decentraland as a platform for a project or an experience or a demonstration or a place to meet with your team if your team is distributed.
We have another question.
Please.
Sorry. Are you recommended us to build our SOS Hackathon project firstly on Decentraland as prototypes for testing purposes?
In some cases, I would think the answer would be yes, and others probably no. Elena, you were going to say something?
Yes, I probably say if you would like to explore this platform, yes, please do. We totally support that, and that's going to be your learning experience and opening maybe lots of horizons for you. But for this hackathon especially, we don't require, but we have a team, like the whole team that organized by Carl, that will be supporting you to build on this platform. Yeah, so, and you can find this team in our Discord as well. Carl, can you please tell me how this team called?
Yeah, let me look for a second here. One moment.
It's called Decentraland Projects.
Projects and Services. That's right.
Services, yeah, Decentraland Projects and Services. So if you would like to join this team, and actually one team can submit many projects as you can, right? So you can have your own project, but to be within this team, and you can get the whole support from Carl, who knows all insides out of the Decentraland.
Yeah. I would encourage somebody that if you're trying to do something that you can't quite see how you would do it during this time because of physical separation. I don't want to say social separation, social distancing, because you don't have to be socially distanced, but physical distancing, travel restrictions, etc. You might consider using a virtual reality as a platform or a context or a venue for your work. There is some technology involved, so you would want to make use of our help and or recruit somebody onto your team that would have the skills. There are quite a number of people now who know how to build things in Decentraland over and above the team that I'm offering. So I could help network with you and find help for you on that.
So Carl, can you tell us just how many people, like ballpark, involved right now in the Decentraland and building projects there in the community there? So what, like just a number? Do you know this number?
Well, let's see. One way is how many people own land. If you own land, you're probably invested in doing something with it. And there's about 9,000 landowners. And I'm just looking in the Discord, the Decentraland Discord, for how many people are.
So about 1,000 in the Discord.
Okay. And, currently online in the Discord are actually online is nearly 1,000. In the offline
Oh
list,
yeah, online, exactly.
yeah.
Yes.
So right now there's about 1,000 people interested in Discord who are online in Discord. And then it's a long list, but if I go down far enough, I think there's several thousands of people who have more or less knowledge about how to use and make projects in Discord.
And I also have to say that they launched only in March, right? So we're right now in May. So the platform was launched in March, so it's 2 months, and it's gained that much of the traction. So yeah, so this is, I think it's
That's
very
a promising future.
Yeah, very,
Yep.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I'd say a long road ahead. It's a context in which the community is adding the value. And if you look at the history of Second Life, originally Linden Lab, put some content into the world, but 15 years of users building an amazing environment there. Decentraland is on the doorstep of that, and I would say has made huge progress in the 2 months that it's been open. So yes. I believe that's the last of my official slides. I think I just have any questions, and here's my contact information. I'll leave the slide up, but while we take any other questions that people may have.
By the way, guys, I now figured out how to do it, and you can unmute your microphone right now if you would like to have a question. Yes, so you
I have a question for Carl.
Yeah, speak up just a little bit if you can get closer to your mic. You're very soft.
I have a question for Carl.
Okay.
Terrific presentation. Thank you, Carl. I missed the first part. What's your secret for getting landowners to sign up so quickly?
Oh, that's really interesting. It's a historical event. You're probably aware that in the 2017 timeframe, there was a frenzy around initial coin offerings as a way to raise funding. And Decentraland did a fantastic job of creating buzz before their ICO. They had some initial investors. The Digital Currency Group was a major early investor. They also own part of Visa. They are the company behind Coinbase. So they saw the potential of a virtual world on blockchain. So they got behind it and funded it. But there was wonderful pre-ICO buzz done. And when Decentraland did their ICO, I think in July of 2017, I think it was, they sold out. They fully funded the $25 million in about 1.5 Ethereum blocks, which means about 30 seconds. So they raised $25 million in 30 seconds. And all those people that bought into that ICO now either had an interest in doing something with that mana, or in improving the value of it through proper selling and proper management of it as a coin. But then the coins were used to buy land and establish presence. And at the end of the year, they had a what they call a terraform event, where people could obtain land for mana in an auction. Auction creates a lot of buzz. The auction ran for a few weeks. They used a technique on that that created a lot of competition for land. And so they built a huge following very early on in the first half a year of the business. They did a great job.
And what's your role with Decentraland?
So because I had written a book on virtual reality construction and had 10 years of experience with activities in Second Life, I got an introduction to them through one of their other informal advisors who we both knew. And they asked me to become what they called a community advisor to assist with a lot of the assistance with the formation of districts and district leadership teams, but just generally representing them from my point of view. So I was not an employee, but I was an advisor. That officially ended as a contractual relationship at the end of last year, but I continue to be very active with them, and I have become friends with a number of the people who are very active in the Decentraland team. And so it allows me to ask them questions, give them feedback. I have their ear, so that really helps a lot.
So you're an advisor still? So
I
what
don't think
changed
I'm.
at the end of last year?
Oh, I had a vesting contract with them for 2 years.
You had a what?
A vesting contract to be that means over time you gain a compensation by remaining involved. It's kind of the same way that stock options work in companies. So I'm not an employee, never was, of the company, but I was a compensated advisor. And that compensation package ended in November, but it's not like I parted from them. I'm engaged with them all the time.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Much.
Yeah, and I'm very grateful to Decentraland for having engaged me and brought me into the fold so closely.
Yes, and how my opinion was on the Decentraland when I came to this. But yeah, I came just during one of the conferences, and then where I saw Carl and I approached him. So this community is very, very decentralized. I mean, the people are like coming there and building their own things, right? So it's not something that centralized and controlled with somebody by somebody. But yes, so this is a decentralized community, which is really good.
Yeah, the primary technical development and marketing work is still being done by Decentraland, but they brought to an end their original business structure and passed their assets to 2 other entities. One is a foundation, the Decentraland Foundation, and the other is the DAO for governance. So the foundation's role is to use those assets over the next 10 years or so to incent and encourage development. And also they have retained some of the Decentraland staff, including the technology head, to continue developing the technology. And then the DAO is a voting organization, kind of similar to what Elena and the island have set up to set policy and governance and the direction into the future. So Decentraland transferred, I think they burned a third of their assets or half their assets, something like that. And they gave the rest of it half and half to the DAO and the foundation. So those are the continuing organizations into the future.
Thank you so much, Carl. So we are moving on to the next part. If you guys would like to present of one of your ideas, please go ahead, like raise your hand, unmute your microphone. We can do that. Let me know if you would like to do that. And if you can see my screen, I'm right now moving a little bit just to show you around of what this platform looks like if you haven't seen it. Again, so all our links, how to go there, posted on our Discord. If you cannot find, please just ping us on Discord. We will direct you to the right place. Right, so yeah. At this point, let me know if anyone would like to present their ideas. If you would like to join a team or if you would like to present yourself and just tell about yourself, so to join a team, you can do that as well. Okay, at this point, I don't see anybody. So Carl, can you please also talk a little bit about more the social, just remind them what are the times for the social dancing in Decentraland, just for you to maybe to go there and practice?
Yes, so we have a DJ, Rosa Alexiev from Brazil, who you're trying to find your way to the
yes
to the dance venue. Anyway, we have a DJ who comes in on weekends and spins live music streams at the cafe venue. And I'm going to stop trying to follow your screen because
Sorry, it's distracting you. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
yes,
no,
there
it's
you go.
okay. There. And the links to the cafe are available on the DCLConf website. And also Decentraland has a Discord server that has an events page and they have an events calendar on their website, and they're all listed there. But on Saturdays at noon, is that right? One moment.
Oh, we're losing you, Carl, for some reason. I'm not sure, maybe because
you hear me now?
I cannot hear you.
Testing. Zoom is getting tired, maybe. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yeah, no,
okay.
I'm not sure. So please try. And I will also have Lucia, who is trying to talk but cannot for some reason. And Lucy, you are unmuted. I'm not sure why you can't. Maybe you unjoin and rejoin the meeting and see if you can, get in this way. Yes, I don't know if I can.
Looks like Zoom is having.
Or you can just maybe type in a chat whatever you would like to say, and then I will repeat it.
Can I ask a question after Carl?
Yeah.
Oh, Carl, what do you think of the level of community engagement on our Discord platform? And how would you go about increasing the level of engagement? Because you've got a lot of experience with community engagement. And
I would say there's an opportunity, and we have to be thoughtful about how to manifest it. But there's an opportunity for these two communities to come together, to overlap, to cross-pollinate, and have people from the hackathon become involved in the Decentraland community, and vice versa.
That sounds fantastic. How would you?
Well,
create that
letting people know, and I think there's several ways to do that. One is obviously Decentraland could post a blog entry at some point about this project, and I have the impression that Elena, that Toonpunk would be quite receptive to that once there's a clear story to tell of what that blog post ought to say. There also, Decentraland has a very large following in their Discord server. And, you can't just post something once in Discord and hope everybody sees it. But if an ongoing conversation occurred about this, and one place that could happen would be in the events channel. Another would be maybe in the conference center channel. And, people go and notice that there's been some conversation going on there. They'll go look and they'll meet people and get involved. Another possibility would be to come to some of the social events in Decentraland and network, just like you would in the real world. The 2 dance sessions on the weekends would be a possible venue. There's also a lot of activity in the Vegas district. So those would be possibilities. Another possibility would be to propose a course to teach in the university or to attend a course. There's the VR Academy in the university hosts the course that I taught last summer as an ongoing thing, and there's some traffic there. So if somebody came in and said, hey, I could use some help building something, there are people there who went through that course and would be available to help. So I would say build it socially. There is an events calendar for Decentraland. Invite people to come over into that the Discord server for a hackathon if they're interested in learning about it. I say it's a social building process, I would think, with some support from publicity from the conference center, from Decentraland's efforts, etc. I hope that answers.
Well, one idea I had for Decentraland that might help is if you had either a bot or a person that
So,
is sort of.
Andrew, can I just? I'm sorry. Can I just stop you a little bit, because we have Lucy right now also
Okay.
wanted to ask the question. So, Lucy,
Sure.
please go ahead. Can you hear
And
us?
let's follow up. Yeah, let's follow up on those ideas, Andrew.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll contact you on Discord.
Okay.
Okay, Lucy, can you hear us? We cannot hear Lucy for some reason. I'm not sure why. So, Andrew, please go ahead with your question.
Well, one thing you could do with Decentraland is have somebody welcoming people when they arrive. Then you could have mentors that engage people in your space, and then maybe have some roaming entertainer that just mixes everything up. So basically animating a space.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to hear your ideas, you know, riffing on
Yeah.
those ideas and how
I
it
love
would
those
apply
ideas.
to Discord.
Yeah, I really like them, and I'm imagining them both in Discord, but also in World. They're in Second Life, for example, which is 15 years in the making with about 1 million people. There are a number of places where newcomers are directed or find their way to, where there are classes and mentors and greeters and people answer questions in World. I think that's a great idea. Obviously, it requires people who are willing to do that, and it's not, highly economical. It's usually quite altruistic in nature.
Could you
but-
create bots? I mean, could we create bots for doing the entertainment, welcoming, and mentoring
Yes.
function?
In fact, if you go, Elena, I wanted to mention that Decentraland just this last week completely changed their onboarding experience. So the video we made is actually immediately obsoleted in that regard to that introductory tutorial. Now you actually just land right in the central plaza of the city, and there's lots of learning kind of experiences. You just explore and you learn things as you explore, and there are bots there that answer questions.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So guys, you might just follow the links. If you can go to our Discord, like with this meeting, we also posted for you the link to just direct link to end up here. So maybe you can use this link, or you can just go to decentraland.org and just start, your experience there. Explore, right? Push the button, explore on decentraland.org, and that's how you will end up using it and making yourself familiar. And as I said, that there is a process there of purchasing your avatar, and Decentraland right now is reimbursing everyone who purchased the avatar through our event.
Yeah, the onboarding used to take you through the avatar acquisition process, which tended to tangle people up a little bit with, but maybe I want to buy a name. Oh, maybe I need to learn blockchain. Oh, maybe I need to install MetaMask and go figure out how to get, it took people way off course. So they have completely sidestepped that now. So the onboarding experience just puts you directly in the center of the city, which they've rebuilt to be a learning experience. And if you want to buy a name, you go to the Decentraland.org website and click on avatars, and that's the path in for buying a name and developing a permanent identity. I'm not sure. My question didn't go to Lucy. It went to somehow I got onto a different thread. So Lucy, maybe type your question.
Yeah, if you can type your question, Lucy, in the chat to everyone, we can see at least yes, what you would like to say. And then so we also have another opportunity for you to present. If you wanted to present your idea, we will have another opportunity on Wednesday. So approximately the same time, we will have another opportunity for you to present. We have another community call on Wednesday, so you will have chance to do it then. And if not, we will have more chances to do it as well. As I said, now our next community call will be on Wednesday. So this meeting will be recorded, and also you all guys, thank you so much for joining today. You all get the points, your voting points for joining this meeting. Thank you very much for participating in the community as well. So so Lucy's saying that she did not have a question. So
Okay.
Lucy, if you wanted to present again, so you will have this opportunity on Wednesday. If you concerned that you cannot, join Zoom or somehow, ping me on Discord and we can practice it with you.
Very good. And we do have a dance at the cafe this afternoon, or this evening, depending upon where you are, at 10 p.m. UTC. So you can do the calculation from Universal Time.
Carl, please go ahead and post in Discord and in announcements, maybe that information on how people can get there.
Yeah.
Yes, what that would like to explore. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining our hackathon. And we will see you in Discord, and we will see you on the further community calls. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.